Hi, Bhargavi. Nice to see that you've sent us your first essays in the course. Let's take a look at what you wrote. The first one is about schools and whether they should be more entertaining or if they should just educate. Let's see what you wrote. Although academic institutions should have education as a primary goal, I strongly believe that entertainment also needs to intersect with conventional teaching methods to enable quick and fun learning, which helps students in developing curiosity and motivation towards their study routines. Okay, here's the good news. The good news is that you have definitely presented your position, and that's really important because it asks you for it very directly. My concern is with the fact that this is a really long sentence and that it's a paragraph of just one sentence, okay? I want you to avoid that. Your paragraphs, at least your introductions, should be 2, maybe 3, sometimes even 4 sentences, but somewhere over 1 and somewhere less than 5. All right. You don't want them to be super long. You don't want your paragraph, your introduction to be longer than your body paragraphs, but you also, you can't have a paragraph with just one sentence. So what's missing for me is something that kind of introduces the issue. In other words, something that kind of restates the fact that there is this controversy, that there is this debate happening. That's what's missing. All right. And then you could have said, I strongly believe, etc., etc. And then somewhere break it up and make an additional sentence, okay? So let's move on. Students throughout the day fill, without that S, their mind with multiple concepts and tasks, such as listening to lectures, instructions heeded by teachers. That doesn't make sense, heeded. Writing notes, etc., which involves utilization of a great deal of brain power and causes tiredness and lack of engagement with the activities. Recent studies also supported this argument, proving that students who are not involved in any kind of entertainment have, not has, because it's students, have higher levels of stress and decreased memory retention capacity. Following only traditional forms of education hinders growth of students, both in academic and psychological aspects. All right, so let's talk about this paragraph a little bit. I have to be honest with you and tell you that I didn't really know what you were trying to say. Clearly what you wanted to do was you wanted to talk about this this view of the sole purpose is to educate, and you wanted to talk about how this is a bad idea. That wasn't entirely clear though. So I read the entire paragraph and then I thought to myself, okay, this is what Bhargavi is trying to say, that, this type of education is a bad model. You don't want that to happen. You don't want the reader to have to get to the end in order to understand what it is you're trying to say. So for that reason, we make it clear in that opening in the sentence in our paragraph. Okay, so you could have said something here like basically just presenting your main idea here, which is there are numerous drawbacks to the traditional type of education which follows an education only model or something like that. Okay, and then all of this would have made sense, okay? And then here, if you remember from the course and you remember from the template, this last sentence has to follow here. And while this was okay, you needed some sort of a linker, all right? So you need something like a therefore, so clearly or thus, something which shows that, look, I'm concluding my paragraph here with this last thought. And then this made sense, but again, you didn't have anything like that in the beginning of the paragraph. So this was a good sentence, but you needed to give it the correct linker here, okay? And then you needed to have a similar type of sentence begin this paragraph, okay? So let's move on to your next paragraph. On the other hand, when education is blended with the right quantity of entertainment, this can elicit higher levels of interest. Reduce, get rid of this S, reduce levels, reduce levels of anxiety and foster a positive attitude towards learning. Innovating concepts such as interactive media, podcasts, and PowerPoint presentations develop, no S, curiosity and promote mental alertness of students in classrooms, which in turn helps in assimilation of information easier. Okay. In a research, we don't use A in front of the word research. In research conducted by a university on mathematics lectures which combined entertainment, in research by university on mathematics lectures which combined entertainment. Okay, revealed facts that, how about this? Revealed that, no, let's try it again. Which combined entertainment. There's something weird happening here with your grammar. I want to try this sentence one more time. So, in research conducted by a university on mathematics lectures which combined entertainment, the results have shown a huge increase in critical thinking and growth mindsets. This approach of fun-filled learning results in providing holistic and quality education to students. Okay. Fine. I'm fine with the entertainment, but I want to make sure that you mentioned that interactive media, podcasts, and PowerPoint presentations. I mean, are those entertaining? I mean, yeah, granted, there are new methodologies, there's different types of materials, but can you really say that these things are entertaining? All right, so that's what I want you to be careful about. This is the idea. This is what you need to be focusing on, if these things are entertaining or not. Maybe you could have mentioned games. Maybe you could have mentioned some sort of group activities, team activities, where learning is made fun, where there's some sort of a challenge, some sort of a, I mean, games would be a nice thing to talk about here. You didn't really talk about that. But okay, let's move on. To conclude, I agree that only through creative and innovative learning, which involves the required amount of entertainment, can better, okay, what happened to your grammar here? I agree that only creative and innovative learning, which involves the required amount of entertainment, can better shape a personality of a student in an all-inclusive way. All right, get rid of that through. So this is fine. There are a lot of good things about this. You are trying to use the template, but there are some areas where it needed a little work. And then there's some grammatical, lexical things that are creating some confusion here. All right, it's a good first attempt. Now let's take a look at your second essay. Okay, so let's look at that second essay now. Doing an enjoyable activity with a child. Okay, I don't know what happened with your paragraphing here. You absolutely have to make sure that the divisions in your paragraph, that there's a line between each paragraph, okay, because this just looks like one big lump of text, and I can guarantee you that in an exam situation, this would get you a 5 for coherence and cohesion. All right, so no matter how minimal it seems as a detail, you absolutely need to leave a line here to make it completely clear that you're ending and starting a new paragraph. All right, so let's see what you said. Reading plays a vital role in the development of linguistic, literacy, and remembering ability. Memory abilities is a better word here in children, and can help their academics to a greater extent. However, a few people, and I don't really like this, a few people, it sounds very limited. A better word here is some people, okay? So some people believe that engaging children in fun activities helps them in developing wider range of skills. A wider range of skills. I strongly support the idea of involving children in entertaining activities, which molds them into a complete individual. Fine. Firstly, when children can spend their time in activities such as sports, their cognitive, competitive, and spatial awareness skills will be enhanced in a way better than the approach of reading. Why? Explain to me. Okay? So why? You're comparing it to reading? How is it better than reading? Explain it. In addition to this, they gain mental and physical health and a growth mindset as well. Okay? Recent studies from a reputed university have, because it's studies, have shown that athletic students outperform, this should be one word or hyphenated, their non-athletic peers in academics and possess better concentration levels and social relationships. This indicates that activity like sports results in better shaping of a child's skills. This is clearly a new paragraph. Secondly, creative activity, excuse me, like drawing and painting, aid, because it's activities, aid in enhancing children's ability to think, visualize, and express effectively. These creative and innovative skills play a major role in today's fast-paced competitive world by providing solutions to critical scientific issues. A neuroscientist at University of New York mentioned in his research that arts can improve emotional and social lives of children and teach, because it's arts, teach them risk-taking and the ability to build confidence levels. To conclude, children must be allowed to participate in more engaging and creative activities to improve their abilities and to become a healthy and creative adult. In contrary to reading, which helps only in developing language and comprehending skills. Okay, I liked a lot of this. I'm not a huge fan of you talking about reading here at the very end because, quite frankly, you never developed anything about reading in your essay. You talked about it here in the beginning. You simply said that sports develops skills better than reading can. And then here you mentioned nothing about reading at all. So for all of a sudden you to tell us in the end that reading helps develop language and comprehension, that's the word you want, comprehension skills, feels a little irrelevant, and I probably wouldn't have put it in here. Let's see. Okay, so excuse me for the cough. So this was fine in a lot of ways. I liked it. You clearly understood that you need to spend some time talking about creativity. Very glad you did that. A lot of people actually miss this. You didn't, so you spent an entire paragraph on it, which I think was a good idea. For me, what's missing here is a little more analysis of reading and what strengths reading has and perhaps where reading is lacking. So you mentioned it here in the beginning, okay? And then you basically said how sports enhances some skills better than reading can. And then here, when it came to creative abilities, you never mentioned reading at all. So for me, that was missing. Because I'm sure that we can all agree that reading does enhance creative abilities in certain ways. And I wanted some sort of mention of it. I wanted you to carry this idea of reading into that paragraph as well. However, for your first set of essays, you've done a very nice job. You're at a very good, you've made a very good start. Okay, so let's talk about what your next steps should be. Your first step should be to correct these essays, excuse me, using my feedback. Okay, and then the second thing you need to do is create an error correction list where you write down the errors and next to each error write what the correct version would be. You'll add to that list with each correction you get back. And then of course the third thing you need to do is send us a set of essays. So send these three things together. We'll be waiting for them. Try to do it within the next day or so that you can apply everything you've learned, okay? So good job for your first set, and we'll be waiting to see your next set of essays.